very good day to yourselves. My name is Harry Cruz, and today we're going to be discussing the importance of stories, storytelling, and why you should tell your story. So, stories, they're everywhere. They're on my bookcase, loads of them there. They're in our TV, our favourite TV shows, characters, plots, genres, all over the place. But the most important story to you is actually, of course, your own story. We all have a monologue, an inner monologue, telling us what we cannot do, our own personal laws and values that we abide by as people. Some are more conscious than others. Some are unconscious and we're not quite aware of it until someone perhaps suggests it or says. Nonetheless, there are still stories that are woven within us through our education and through our own personal experiences. And self-awareness of these stories can actually be quite insightful. Perhaps these stories have been holding you back from actually achieving what you want to achieve. Perhaps there's been external circumstances, perhaps family, friends, bad experiences that have woven you as a person in both good and bad ways. Good and bad, of course, are subjective to yourself, but it can be important, and that's why journaling is a great medium of reflection, because in essence you are writing down your own monologues and thoughts, your inner stories, as it were, on a piece of paper. And from that, when you read it back and you start processing your thoughts and what you want to achieve, or you can tailor the journaling experience to what you want to write about or what's on your mind at the moment. And that can be quite insightful. That can even be emotionally releasing. Let's say you've had stress that's built over the past few weeks and you've wanted to divulge and discuss it with someone, but you write it all down. It actually helps, and it actually alleviates the almost that heavy emotional burden, and you put it on a page instead. So stories can be quite powerful. Written thoughts and literature can invoke emotion and inspire many people in both great and wicked ways. I mean, that's why a lot of great philosophers and well-written, educated individuals throughout history have written their own books and journals, because it's a way, a method for them to consolidate what they have researched and what they know, and how they can integrate their own knowledge and bits of wisdom into one book that they can actually print off and share it with other people. And that's how society has evolved over time. Because without literature, well, there was a period of the medieval period where a lot of literature from the Romans and Greeks were lost, and that included a lot of our medical advances and methods of healing, herbology, and knowledge of the gods and what came before. And because of that void, it had to be filled with other bits and pieces which was only discovered in more recent years, which actually in some cases wasn't actually a lot better. And that's why in a lot of kind of historical kind of textbooks it's called the Dark Ages, because of the period of lack of information and loss to knowledge. And knowledge indeed is power. However, sometimes too much knowledge at the same time can be overwhelming and can actually stop you in your tracks. And journaling is a good equilibrium between the two, because you're tailoring your own inner thoughts and stories into one piece, and then therefore you can kind of find out yourself about what you want to do, and it can give you clarity. And that's what stories are. Stories are clear plots rather than coherent thoughts which happen. And thoughts are just thoughts after all. But I digress very slightly. But why should you write your own story? Well, a lot of people want to write their own book. They want to write their own journal of their lives, or even just through a fictional character, fiction, non-fiction. And they want to write their own stories and their own experiences through a different genre, through a slightly different form of reality, through sci-fi, fantasy, romance, crime, horror, loads of different genres, to invoke emotions and information to their readers in an entertaining way. But a lot of people regret not telling their own stories to their family. I know there's a lot of individuals that wish they asked people who are unfortunately not with us anymore, that they wish they asked them a bit more about what they did when they were younger, or how they thought about certain experiences. And I think it's a very important thing to write it down, because then you can share that knowledge with your sons, your daughters, your family. You're passing down your legacy even, and that can be very, very inspiring to others. Very inspiring, even if it may not appear to yourself, or maybe you think, oh, that isn't really inspiring, my story, I've just been kind of going through the motions really. But even just documenting that yourself, you might find, actually, oh, I recall, oh yeah, I didn't remember that, but I remember doing that when I was of a certain age, and then perhaps another thought or another memory comes back and you go, oh yeah, I didn't realise, I forgot about that, and yet had I not done this exercise, I would have forgotten that. So it's actually a good way to remind yourself of what you've gone through in the present moment. In 50 years time, 60 years time, I could have forgotten I shot these videos, but if I wrote it all down, I would know, because I'd have a documentation of that. There are probably so many good days, so many bad days that I've forgotten in my life so far, and I'm only a young man in this current recording. And yet when I look back in the future, I could see, oh gosh, I remember having all of those worries, or all of those things I was looking forward to, and I've already achieved it, etc. So it's just a great way of kind of projecting back when you're older and seeing what you did, but also a way to giving back to the future in society and improving, perhaps giving some insights and advice to your family. Knowledge is power. But in the meantime, take care. I hope you found this video insightful. And remember, if you do want to write your own story, I would recommend it. I really would. In whatever genre you'd like. Of course, it doesn't have to necessarily be literature. It can be music. Music invokes its own stories. Imagine watching films, your favourite film, without music. Unless it was a silent movie, it's going to make a huge difference. A huge difference. Anyways, take it easy, take care of yourself, and I'll speak to you in the next video. Take it easy. Ta-da, bye.